How's it going, guys? Just about to record my fourth video of the day. Incredibly, fourth video of the day. Overkill? Who cares? Who cares, man? Stuff to talk about, isn't there? So yeah, I'm going to talk about Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall has been announced. The rematch. Obviously, the first one ended in a in a bit of controversy. A lot of people thought Catterall won the fight. Josh Taylor thought he won the fight. I was watching a bit of it there, I've watched the fight a couple of times before. And I remember it well enough, and Catterall fought brilliantly, especially the first 6 rounds or so. Maybe it was the 6th or 7th round before Taylor really got a foothold in the fight. But I think, nobody really expected Catterall to perform like he did. So there's always that skewed thing where it's like, oh, he won. But if you really try to look at it impartially and objectively, now I know there were a couple of decisions that kind of went Josh Taylor's way. I think, did Catterall have a point deducted from him? And there were a couple of other little things. I think there was a knockdown that may or may not have been scored. I mean, the fight was in Glasgow, wasn't it? So, it was kind of like a homecoming fight. Taylor had just won. He just unified the division, hadn't he? Against Ramirez. So this was supposed to be a homecoming and a celebration, really. In the build up to it, a lot of needle. You know what Josh Taylor's like. Hank. He's a fiery fucker, like. And Catterall, on first sort of impressions, you would think he was the sort of guy that would wilt under that kind of pressure. But in the build up, he, not being such a forward character, he really held his own. I felt he wasn't backing down at all, and he didn't wilt. And he certainly didn't wilt on the night. He operates behind that shoulder roll, sort of half shoulder roll. He comes in and out of it, and he uses that quite well. It works for him quite naturally. It's not like an awkward one. Both southpaws. He was well up for that fight, and I don't think Taylor was expecting him to be as good as he was. It was really the performance of Catterall's life, and with it having been maybe Taylor underestimating him a little bit, that comes into play. But it definitely wasn't the Taylor that you seen against Brian Check, against Postol. Got his name, by the way. But did a bit of looking on BoxRec. Victor Postol. And against Ramirez, the phenomenal Taylor. The pound for pound fighter, like the truth. It wasn't there, and it wasn't there in the Lopez fight either. So you have to question as well, was he a bit weight drained? There was talk of him moving up to fight Terence Crawford, which after, of course, them 2 performances, you're sort of thinking, is that such a good idea? There was a wee bit pie in the sky. Certainly he could have moved up and fought a lesser opponent to ease into the weight, and then maybe come up against a couple of the other sort of young guys, maybe not Boots Ennis, but that other fella, another guy whose name I can't remember, who was, I think he was sick. He was sort of condemned. I thought his career was off. He had some strange illness, and but he's back in action. I think he fought up at 154 there the other week, actually. supposed to have been a bit of a funny fight. I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but he's back in the game anyway, you know. So Taylor, you gotta hope that he makes this weight as healthy as he possibly can, because he's big for the weight, although he's got a sort of strange kind of like a skinny frame, you know, he's long, he's tall and long, you know. He's not a big chested guy. He's not like that kind of sturdy build. And funny, I think it was Catterall that had the physical advantage in that fight. You know, he tied Taylor up a lot. He really frustrated him. He tied him up. He got in close. You know, leading in with his shoulder. Well, it would have been this end for him, wouldn't it? He was leading in that way, and he was frustrating him. You know, and he had a good jab. Don't want to say a stiff jab, but a purposeful sort of jab or something in it, or not a probing jab or anything like that. But he's a good jab, and he was sort of throwing it 1, 2, 3, 4, moving off to Taylor's left. You know, he was coming in with the right hand, had quite a bit of success with the right hand. But midway through the fight, then, you know, as much success as he was having, if you really score them rounds, like I say, impartially and objectively, there wasn't a whole lot in them, and depending on who you favour and whose work you favoured. But I mean, a lot of people thought Catterall won the fight, and they felt he was hard done by. And like I say, Josh Taylor did come into the fight towards the end. I mean, he did show that true heart of a champion, that even on his worst night, you know, he was fit to get in there and make something happen. So anyway, it didn't go Catterall's way, and there was talk of whether this would ever happen again. You know, would it be up at welterweight, or, you know, I think it's been 2 years, and finally it's come around. In the interim, I think Catterall's had a couple of fights, so it's been good to see him now in the context of having had such a great showing against Taylor. Let's see what he can do against a couple of other guys. So he fought some guy who I can't mind, and then he fought Linares. Now Linares was sort of dragged out again, you know, by Matchroom for another one of their up and coming fighters to test themselves against. Now he's a bit long in the tooth now. Linares in his prime, he was a great fighter. You know, I don't know, was he a 2-weight world champion maybe or something like that? Great combination puncher. A good fighter, a very good fighter. So I mean, he passed that test. I wouldn't say with flying colours, but he beat him. Good test for him. I'm not sure if he topped the bill that night, but that again, you know, that added pressure, I think, was probably good for him to have come through that. I think so. Taylor, I'm trying to think who trains Taylor at the minute. I can't mind the guy's name. I've seen a bit of him on YouTube and stuff. He speaks really well. He seems like he knows what he's doing. There's a couple of guys, they work together. I think one of them's actually called Declan. So it's always nice to hear about another Declan. There's not that many people called Declan. So when you meet one, it's like, fuck. You know? So anyway, your man seems to be doing well. Josh Taylor seems to be happy. Of course, he had been with Shane McGuigan. He'd been with the McGuigans. Now, there had been a fallout. Wasn't long after the Frampton fallout. There was certain things going on. He didn't like it. Maybe he just wanted out of there. It's hard to know. You don't really know, do you? It's insider stuff. And obviously the McGuigans moved him well, the same as they'd moved Frampton. You know, and they really moved, you know, to Taylor. I don't want to say mercilessly or ruthlessly, because it's not really the right word for it, but you know, it was test after test after test. You know, he fought in the States and Frampton undercards and stuff like that. Maybe when he fought Leo Santa Cruz, or he fought that young Mexican guy who later died. I can't mind his name now, but Frampton fought him. He put Frampton down 2 flash knockdowns in the first round, was it? And Frampton got up and he came into the fight and he controlled it. I mind Paulie Malignaggi was commentating that night, and he was talking about Frampton having an elite jab, you know. And anyway, the McGuigans know how to move a fighter properly, especially a great talent like Josh Taylor. So whatever else you want to say about fallouts and such, you know, they had done that well. And of course then Catterall's being looked after, I think, by Jamie Moore, who Frampton had then trained with afterwards. He's, you know, well renowned. I think it was a British title fight. He fought Matt Macklin. It was a British title fight, or it was a European title or something. Them two fought each other, but it was a big domestic dust-up. It was supposed to have been a great fight. So maybe you're a big Frampton fan. I would have seen bits and pieces of Jimmy Moore and stuff, and seems like he knows what he's doing and stuff. Well, obviously he knows what he's fucking doing, like, but he seems like a good trainer, you know. And so Catterall's working with him. It'll be interesting to see, man. I mean, I love Josh Taylor, like I say. I mean, I watched all the fights of the Super Series, you know. He beat Postol. I thought that was a great victory. Because, you know, Postol, he had beaten Matisse, I think, when Matisse was scary biggies, like, you know. And he was a very capable fighter anyway. You knew just watching him, he was a dangerous guy. Big, tall dude, you know, and sort of rangy and could punch as well. Like, and I think that's why I spoke about when Crawford fought him. Crawford really used his legs in that fight, which he didn't really do when he went after everybody when he got up to welterweight. All those fights right the way through, every guy he fought, he engaged, but with Postol, he stood off him a bit, you know. There's nothing wrong with that. When he'd wore him down a bit, and he could get stuck in, you know. And Taylor beat him. Who else did he fight then? He fought Baranchek. Baranchek was, you know, talk about muscular builds and stuff. Baranchek was a beast, like. And I think he was a world champion, so he took that first title off him. And, you know, again, it was like Josh Taylor, the style, the way he fights, he's all in, you know what I mean? And he's aggressive, and he likes a fight. You know, he shipped some damage that night, like, but he beat the guy, you know. I wouldn't say easily, but he clearly won the fight. Fought Prograis, obviously that was a very tight fight. That was probably the best I've seen Prograis, really. I know he sort of went off, I won't say off the rails, he went off the radar maybe for a couple of years after that. I don't know if it was promotional stuff or what it went on, but that had been a really good fight, and I think that was probably, up until that point, that was Taylor's best win, even maybe his best win to date. He beat O'Hara Davis. That's the common opponent they have, is O'Hara Davis. Obviously Taylor fought him first. I think Taylor floored him in the 7th round. I think he put him down with a body shot maybe, and he got up and Taylor went in for the fucking kill. And this was at a time when I know O'Hara Davis, the black quitter, like, he gets a right bit of stick, you know, because he was hyping himself like mad and stuff. He was really grinding. He was really hustling to try and it, with the way that he was moved, you could buy into the hype, because he was a big puncher, and he seemed to be knocking all these guys out, you know. But Josh Taylor put paid to that. Like, he just, you know, because he said he couldn't breathe. He couldn't breathe out his nose. That's why he gave in. Breathe out your mouth. Alright. You know, we all have our excuses. There's the beep. Catterall then obviously fought him afterwards. Damaged goods. But he beat him. He beat Tyrone McKenna. He beat a few other guys whose names I do not recognise, and I will not pretend to recognise. So I think it's gonna be a good fight, and hopefully Josh Taylor is prepared to his very utmost, and he looks back at that dubious win, um, and the defeat against Teo, which I thought it wasn't a bad showing for him. Teo fought really well that night, style wise. It just seemed to work, especially because Taylor seemed to fatigue more easily than what you're used to seeing. You know, you could see the combinations, you could see the skills and stuff, but he didn't really. There was something wrong with the engine that he couldn't really push the way he wanted to, and that played right into Teo's hands. You know, with his in and out stuff and picking his shots. His timing was, and his shot selection was fantastic that night, and he was just on one. Yeah, he was in the zone. Like, it worked well for him, and. Yeah, so hopefully we see the best of Josh Taylor, and hopefully we see the best of Jack Catterall, and the build-up's going to be mighty. Like, there's going to be a lot of talking points, and it'll be interesting to see mentality-wise what way Josh Taylor comes out, because he's got to look back at himself and say, is this hot-headed thing working for me every time? You know what I mean? Is there something I can change here? Can I be quietly confident, and maybe get the job done that way? Again, you know, he's got his nature. If he can keep some of that hot-headedness in the tank, take it into the fight, you know, and bring it out when the openings are there, rather than letting it all go loose and maybe leaving yourself open, you know. He certainly won't underestimate Jack Catterall this time, I would say. You know, no matter how he comes out and talks about him, he'll know that he's a very capable fighter, and that not that he's up against it, but that he's in a serious fight. Catterall seems a lovely guy, you know what I mean. Josh Taylor, I don't know if you could describe him as a lovely guy, but yeah, he's a little bit the opposite. Not hateful or nothing like that, but he's more of a character, isn't he? So it's an interesting one. It really is interesting. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I mentioned in another one of these videos that I had was going to see Van Morrison in Ulster Hall tonight. He's brilliant. See, watching like a world-class operator up on stage. Different wee things he was doing, the way he held his hands. He put his hand on the mic stand like that, and he was doing that before he sang. If you watch a trumpet player, they'll do that. They play a big lick. Blow into it, and then stop, take a breath, and they'll do that, loosen up the valves. But in between Van Morrison, when he was phrasing the singing, he would stop and he would go like that there. Funny, different wee things like that. I was trying to glean whatever wee bits and pieces that I could. So that was alright, but we decided we would go into a bar then, at the Sunflower Bar, which is a lovely bar in Belfast. And we were hoping to see there was a gypsy jazz night. Turned out it was over by the time we got there. Myself and my mate, we had 2 ginger beers. He got a slice of lime. There was only 1 slice of lime left, so we flipped a coin. He got it. And so I had our wee ginger beer. And then we come out, and we were, on the way to the Sunflower, we looked down an alleyway, or like a thoroughfare type thing. It's a bit of a mad word to come out with, thoroughfare, but yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Down the back of TK Maxx and the fucking chapel, and you know, fresh garbage that end, St Vincent de Paul, all those lovely wee shops, and there was about fucking 20 or 30 young lads racking about, and you know, and there's a few older ones standing at the corner, and you know, racking, you know, was there a fight on here, or what's happening? There were young lads, like they were fucking 12, 13, 14. A couple of ones a wee bit older. So I walked across the road just to check it out, you know. And I was standing there, and then next thing, all these wee boys started coming up to me and going, long hair ones call me Jesus, you know. And I sort of knew that by looking at, you know, they were throwing me shapes and stuff. And I goes, you boys boxers. What are you talking about, boxing? And I started throwing these wee kicks, you know, faking wee kicks at me and stuff. I started doing a wee bit of shadow boxing, you know. And they were like, oh, go on ahead, show us your stuff. As I was going, you gotta give me a minute to warm up. Me with a fucking jacket on, big fucking long scarf down to the ground, a big fucking, like a trench coat fucking jacket. And this on underneath, you know what I mean? And started doing wee bits and pieces. And the two of the lads were videoing me and all, like. And these wee fuckers kept, every time I was throwing a shot, when I was coming under, going, I'll get you there, I'll get you there. They were throwing these wee fucking digs at me. And they kept going, go on, should do this and do that. And I sort of just like, through the head, I was like, started chasing them down, like, throwing elbows at them and flicking out kicks and stuff. And there was one wee fella in particular, a big fucking tall string bean ginger fella. He was giving me a real stick. I got him at the end and I fucking chased him. I was chasing down the path and he was screaming his head up. Then I sort of chilled out and just walked away. You know, there was a couple of guys who gave me a wee bump and all. You know, it was funny. Maybe doing a bit of manifestation there, talking about wanting to get into the gym. I ended up fucking down an alleyway with a bunch of minors, juveniles, yes. So that's the fucking crack. We ended up talking to two bouncers saying, going into another bar, Haymarket you call it. He was saying, I didn't know the name of the bar, and we were just standing talking to these two bouncers, having a wee conversation, like, and your man was saying, oh, we have open mic in here tonight and all, and he's saying, you know, we want to go out and sing one, and Sam goes, oh, he's a musician, he sings, no? And I was like, so I was playing it cool, I was like, oh, I don't know, I'll maybe come in, you know? And then he says, oh, open mic, you know, that's been running for about a month or so, and next thing I started detailing the whole Thursday night schedule to him. I was saying, I said, you have one over at Haymarket. I was pointing way up the road. There's one at Haymarket, it says, and then there's Voodoo, and then you maybe get ones coming in here after. And I sort of turned up to look at him. I'd seen the sign of the bar was Haymarket, and the guy was just sort of looking at me like I was stupid. I was like, oh, right, okay, mate, yeah. And I was like, oh, go on. So we went in. The thing had ended by the time we got in. Turned out we're all in a pile of mates, guys that we knew, musicians, East Belfast guys for the most part. One guy in particular I'm playing a gig with now in Lisburn on Saturday night. Just a wee bit of work, you know. It's nice when a wee bit of work comes your way, isn't it? So you have to keep manifesting, and you have to keep talking that cash. Anyway, like I say, Taylor Catterall. It's going to be a good fight, man. And do you know what? I think it'll be a good turnout for that fight. Hopefully they can fill one of these arenas. And, you know, it'll be sort of well seen, because it's like, with all these big fights having been out over in Saudi, here's a big one. And it's going to be, you know, in Manchester or wherever it is. And it's good stuff, isn't it? Anyway, that's me, over and out. And I gotta come up with some kind of catchphrase or some bullshit to say here, you know. But obviously this is early days. I'm getting about 2 views or 0 views on my videos. I gotta work out how to promote myself. I'm gonna have to go onto everybody else's channels and give them a wee introduction. And well, how are you, mate? Do you want a wee donation? There's a $5. Fucking give me a shout out, why don't you? We'll see what happens. But anyway, peace guys, peace and love.